evening, I'm Katrina Skepper and welcome to VIP. Later, culinary chat with top chef Robert Carrier. Now, this year sees the 20th anniversary of the release of the first Star Wars film. The trilogy went on to gross $1.3 billion at the box office. The prequel to Star Wars is currently in production for release in the year 1999, and that should ensure a comfortable pension for the director, George Lucas. You may not recognise my next guest, although he had one of the biggest parts in the original films. He is Anthony Daniels, the actor inside the golden frame of C-3PO. Let's look at him in action.
It's the price you pay for being successful.
Oh, nice to see a familiar face. Ichuta. How rude. That sounds like an auto unit in there. I wonder if... Hello? How interesting.
Who are you?
Oh, my. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to intrude. No, please don't get up. No!
It's a disaster there. CP3 being blown up.
It's awful. Imagine when I read that in the script. I turned the page and he gets blown up. I thought I'm out of a job, but he gets put back together again.
Ah, thank goodness. Now, Anthony, that in the beginning, when George Lucas came to you, was but a small project, wasn't it?
It was tiny. It was a very, very low-budget science fiction movie where the costs were all going on scenery and effects and whatever. Very little for the actors, I have to tell you. And, of course, I didn't really want the role. You know, I was
Because you didn't consider it an acting...
Well, yes, I was an actor,
yes.
and I was, you know, quite on straight theatre and Shakespeare, that kind of thing. And Daleks were the main robots at the time. Not very interesting to play, frankly. But when I read the script, when I eventually did meet George Lucas and read the script, really the most human person in the whole thing, even in the script, which I'd not touched yet, was 3PO.
Was it difficult, though, to portray him behind that sort of entire costume, I suppose? I mean, a mask, really. Very difficult to act like behind.
Yes. I mean, as you see, I brought a mask along today.
I'm so glad I've been able to touch him for real. I'm just a bit concerned about the rest of the body.
It's very strange, isn't it? But if you imagine, you know, trying to sort of make a role out of this, the great thing is the way it was sculpted by somebody called Liz Moore, who built this beautiful face around a mould of my body. They actually cast me in plaster from head to foot. A really disgusting experience. But I think this is a really beautiful face, and at rest, you know, he's beautiful, but he's blank enough that you can actually put some drama on depending on what you do with it. It wasn't easy. I won't go on about the sort of major problems. But
time that it must have taken to get into him on a daily basis.
The first day was 2 hours, and I will be very honest with you, at the end of the day I was very nearly in tears because I'd been in it all day, locked away from anybody else on the set. I couldn't see my friend R2-D2. R2 didn't speak to me, all their sounds were put on later. I felt very lonely, and of course that was the first day.
At least you had a script, though. R2-D2 just had noises.
Yes, but unfortunately nobody... I asked George, you know, in the middle of a scene, I thought, I can't do this scene. You know, where are you going? Well, what makes you think that a settlement's over there? And I got halfway through and got lost, and I said, George, you know, can somebody go like beep beep in the middle of it? And, sure. And we started again.
That's George Lucas, I think.
That's George Lucas, his favourite word, sure. And, you know, where are you going? Long pause. Oh, beep, 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 beep. So I just did it on my own from then on.
Now, I gather because the voice is, in fact, what makes C-3PO, and I was horrified to read that, actually, at one point, George Lucas was trying to dub about at least 30 voices. He was trying to find another voice after you'd finished filming for C-3PO.
He'd never told me what he really wanted. You know, he'd given me the role and then left me to it. And I think the reason was, when I started, I was literally in the desert saying, you know, I am C-3PO, and there was nothing he could do about it there. There was no other actors around. He decided he didn't like it. He thought he could relay the voice. You know, I had a little microphone here. But he thought that he could change it later.
Because you wanted him to be a sort of macho kind of car
macho,
dealer.
yeah, from the Bronx maybe, you know, because he's American, he thinks American, you know. Here's me, very British, thinking British. And it was months later that he found kind of it didn't work with anybody else's voice, and he allowed me to put my voice on. And you know, one of the great things I have now is a pen that actually...
Lots of toys now.
Toys, but listen to this.
I am C-3PO. I am C-3PO.
Isn't that amazing?
The Wookiee wing. This is madness. We're doomed.
We're
I know
doomed.
that's your favourite line.
Favourite line.
Well, that's the one that everyone always asks you to do. Looking back on it now, 20 years on, do you think it's lost any of its impact at all?
No, the odd thing is, you know, I'm in the films, I'm not necessarily a fan, so I don't sit at home watching them every day. And to see them again, first of all at the premiere in London, and then at other theatres, now on the re-release video. The video's fun because actually you can watch things over and over again. In the cinema, you can't say, put that back, would you? I was quite surprised how good they were, and indeed are. And of course, the new audience for them, the audience now spans from about 5 years to 85, because people have now grown up with these films.
Let's have a look, because we've got a clip showing some of the sort of best special effects here.
Oh, from the new one, yes.
It is incredible. Look, there's another world out there in the Tunisian desert.
Well, that and a computer. Most of those shots were, in fact, entirely off a computer, which is pretty frightening for us all, I think.
Well, I think it's when you see the final effect, you almost feel you weren't on the same movie, presumably.
That's right. I mean, the shots of me close up there were real, but everything else around has been put on, well, 20 years later.
Now, what about these prequels that are now coming out for 1999?
Are you going to ask me if I'm in them?
I'm going to ask you because I have a vested interest. C-3PO was my favourite, so he has to be in them.
You're just saying that.
No, I'm not. I mean it.
Really?
Honestly, he was the most,
that's nice.
You said he was the most human. I compared him to, like, the animals in a film.
Yes, I think you do feel a certain... One of the reasons, frankly, that I took the part was the artist's conceptual painting was made this guy look so vulnerable with his little friend, you know. They look so sad. They need human contact. And it's a very good way to look at them, like pets.
So are you going to be in the next one?
I think we have to find out where 3PO came from. And the one thing I will tell you is when I found out, when George actually talked to me about it, I was very surprised, and I better stop there. I was very surprised where it comes from.
What, with your origins?
With my origins, yes.
So we're in for a big surprise. Now,